Hello, I am Yunus from Appear Digital Solutions SAP Academy. In today's lesson, we will talk about subcontracting in SAP. In this course, we will learn the theory first and then practice on SAP S/4HANA GUI screens. So after every theory lesson, we will do system practice. Please watch the whole training from start to finish. This is very important to fully understand the topic. Let's start. In today's lesson, our presentation consists of the following topics in order: which materials are used in the subcontracting process, and what is the difference of a subcontracting purchase order, and raw material creation steps, and MM01 semi-finished product HILB creation, basic data and classification, and then critical settings, MRP2V, special procurement type, and MRP4 and production planning, production version preparation, and then accounting 1 with valuation classes 7,900 and 3,000 and price control. Which materials are used in the subcontracting process? First is the component. This is the material we send to the vendor. Usually it is raw or HILB. Second is the subcontracting product. This is the item we get back from the vendor. Usually it is HILB or FAR. The process logic is simple. We give the materials. The vendor adds their work. As a result, a new product is created. What is the difference of a subcontracting purchase order? First, let's look at the material. In a standard purchase order, we only receive materials. But in subcontracting, it is different. We provide the components and we receive the finished product back. So how does SAP know this? The K is the item category. In a standard order, it is blank. In a subcontracting orders, we must use the letter L. MM01 raw material creation steps. First, we create the component. We send this material from our stock to the vendor. Usually we select raw, which means raw material. Next, look at the green section for accounting. For price control, we select L. This means moving average price. For valuation class, we use 3,000. This is the raw material account. Finally, let's look at the gray section. We set the procurement type to F. F means external procurement. We leave this special procurement field blank. MM01 semi-finished product. HILB creation, basic data and classification. Now we create the output product. For this, we usually select HILB or FAR. HILB means semi-finished product. FAR means finished product. Next, we must define the units. We need a base unit for our warehouse stock, and we need an order unit for purchasing. Sometimes units are different. The vendor may use each, but we use kilograms. If so, we must enter a conversion factor in the additional data tab. For example, 1 each equals half kilograms. Finally, let's talk about batches. Do you need to track quality, color, or expiration dates? If yes, you must activate the classification view. MM01 Critical Settings MRP2 view Special Procurement Type 30 Subcontracting. This is a mandatory settings. In the MRP2 view, we must enter 30 for special procurement type. We only use this setting for the output product. This means or HILB or fed material. We must not use these settings for all components. Or raw materials must stay normal. Also, the main procurement type must be F. F stands for external procurement. MM01 MRP4 and production planning production version preparation. First, we have a prerequisite. We must create a bill of material. We use transaction CS01 for this. Next, we go to MM01. We open the word scheduling view. Here, we must maintain the production version. If we do not, MRP cannot exploit the requirements. Here is a pro tip. You can use transaction T223. You can create many production versions on one screen. And you can easily do a consistency check. Finally, let's look at the MRP for view. We must set the individual collective indicator to this allows conception from our warehouse stock. Accounting one view, valuation classes, and price control. First, let's look at the component row. We usually select F for price control. F means moving average price. This helps us see price changes in our costs. Second, let's look at the subcontracting product HILB. We usually select S for price control. S means standard price. Why do we use S? Because the total cost must be standard. This helps us analyze cost difference at the end of the month. Finally, let's look at the valuation class. This code finds the correct stock account in the background. For raw, we use 3000. This is the raw material account. For half, we use 7900. This is the semi-finished goods account. Now, we finished the theory part. Next, we will move to the system practice for this lesson. I am Yunus from F1 Digital Solutions SAP Academy. See you in the next video.